greatest devotee, Arjuna, about Dvanda Moha Nirmukta. So Dvanda is a very common thing in this material world, and especially in this Kali Yuga. Dvanda means duality. Always you'll see there will be something, and there will be many voices, and there will be many uh, aspects on the same thing. And then there is delusion, because there is so much of duality in the right. um, in order to really get to the right thing, there is so much of duality in which people deal with thing, because this thing what we're reading today is absolute. There is nothing second about it. It's all very absolute, it's transcendental. But in this world, in this age, um, Lord Krishna is saying it's very, very difficult, because a person is full of dvanda, moha, and it's not free from. And in this situation, the only thing which Krishna is saying, bhajante mam drudha. This, in this situation where there is so much of duality, and there is so much of delusion, how to get rid of, how to get free from nirmukta. And the only way to free this from our lives is bhajante mam drudha. That means a person who is engaged, bhajante is engaged in devotional service. Bhajante is not just singing. Most of the time a person may say, bhajante is typically uttering bhajans, but it's not like that. Bhajante, the real meaning of bhajante is engaging in devotional service. And how the person is engaged? With determination. Ahetuki apratihata, as it is mentioned in our scriptures. Dridhavrata, with determination, with no intention of personal gain, uninterrupted. And but here Krishna is talking about determination. So today we are going to discuss about duality. Why does duality happen in our lives? Why does there's a lot of views? Why there is so much of um, confusion, and why there is a lot of delusion, and how to unshackle us from these dualities and delusions and engage in devotional service. And and that's where the first two lines, Krishna is saying, even if you had you know difficulty in the past, based on your birth, based on how your whether it is jananam purnya karma, whether you have pious credits or impious credits, there will be prarabdha karma. But this verse really reinforces the fact that even if you have baggage, by constantly doing devotional service, you can eradicate all of that, and there'll be no duality, there'll be no delusion, and you'll be totally free from. So it's beautiful words to really meditate on. And Srila Prabhupada is taking it to a different level by quoting from how we should be away from this impersonalist and the so-called atheist who do not believe, because this is the absolute process. And by trying to uh, take this process of understanding why the delusion comes and why the duality comes, we can get over it. So with that, so here Krishna is using the word karmana, acted piously in previous lives. Antagatam, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated. Dvanda, of duality. Moho, delusion. Nirmukta, free from. Bhajante mam drudhabhata, they engage themselves in my service with determination. So even if you had sinful reaction in the past life, the medicine is very, very clear to us. And that is Krishna consciousness. So essentially, we're going to talk about duality of delusion. Why? Because of this moha, because of this delusion, um, because of this energy of the Lord, which really makes us feel something is right when it is not. And then there is a duality in the minds of people. Everybody, when you think about their inner covering and the outer covering, are different. They're inside something, they're outside something. There is a lot of issues with the interpersonal relationship purely because of this duality, which Lord Krishna is picking on it, because in order to showcase who we are, we show a image of ours which we are not, and that is because of which there is lack of trust, and there is and why if the person is getting into this, and it is not as if this just started in Kali Yuga. It was very much there when Duryodhana was there, when Dusasana was there, when Dhritarashtra was there. And how to serve with determination, Dridhavrata, to serve with determination. So, so when you think about Bhagavad Gita, right, you have prior to that, you have a typical concept of, how we deal with our lives. There is a situation that you go to a room which nobody has gone, it has been not inhabited for 50 years, but when you go into the room, it will be totally pitch dark. Then you try to put a torch. When you put a torch, you might find some serpents, or you might find some insects, and then once you start putting the torch more closely, you'll realize that that room which was not inhabited for quite some time, there has been a lot of uh, uh, issues, a lot of it is dilapidated, and it is not being taken care properly. But once you put the torch and once it is lighted, then everything comes up very clearly. So likewise, we had a devotee who had gone to one of the orphanages in India. And in big cities, the orphanages are filled with a lot of people, a lot of kids. And this person just wanted to help, because he wanted to see how these people are, dealing in his life. And when he went, he saw that these beds on which these orphans are living, it is so bad, that it is so dirty, that it has never been cleaned in his life. And when he just opened the bed, he saw a lot of insects, bugs, and in spite of that, the orphans are staying. So one of our ISKCON brahmacharis who went to serve there felt it is very, very difficult to really make them stay there. So what he decided, that he has to take out this bed and wash it. So when he basically took out the bed and washed it, the bed ceased to exist, because the insects have gone so much into the bed. Once he started washing the bed, the mattress disintegrated. So once we start dealing with the challenges our life puts in, and then see it from the views of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our concept about our life changes. So that means it is as if, a rug has been removed under our feet, and we don't know what was there under the rug. So it is a very strong introspection in terms of how Bhagavad Gita lead us to our lives. And without that, our life is full of duality. We think, the people in the orphanage are living whatever life. We have a totally different misconception. But once you go down and try to, so in the same vein, if you think, Bhagavad Gita is is an eye opener for all of us. The Bhagavad Gita tells us some of the hard facts in life, that life is full of duality. And in this age, as Krishna mentions, Dukkhalaya Shustakam, you might have heard it many times. This is a very temporary place, and this is full of miseries, but we do not want to recognize it. So, uh, once we start understanding Bhagavad Gita more closely in the association of devotees like today, we'll probably get over the facts that life is full of dualism, and how to unshackle us and be absolute in our uh, dealings. So Bhagavad Gita is actually a torch which clears all the material impurities. So when you think about, a kid which is young, is not good at maths, the mother complains to the father that this kid is not good in maths. The father is busy with his work. Then finally he gets together and he says he tries to teach him maths, and he says, in 25 paisa in 4 ana, there are, 5 mangoes, and how many mangoes are there in a rupee? The person, the kid who is actually watching the question being posed, he tends to think, you know, oh, my father is talking about mangoes. Oh, whether the mango is ripe or unripe. Can I have one of these? When the father is trying to resolve maths problems, the kid is so simple, he is staying on the quality, staying whether the fact is whether the mangoes are ripe or not. So when the kid says, is it ripe or unripe? Then the father gives him a slap saying that, hey, you are not really focusing. See, our views in our life has been tremendously quantifiable, in the sense we are mostly running after numbers. We're, running after some of the hard facts, but losing out on the subtle things of quality. As the kid in this example, is not doing well in maths, but he's still simple, and he has no dualism. So whenever a person asks a question, he's saying what he's thinking. So our life has been becoming, driven by numbers, controlled by numbers. Whether it is a sales, quota or whatever it is, our life has become very difficult. But actually, the qualitativeness of our life has gone. So when you think about the Mahabharata war, right? Um, and during the Mahabharata war, as you know, the Pandavas had only 7 Akshoni Senas. One Akshoni Sena comprised of 218,000 warriors. And Pandavas had 7 Akshoni Senas, which is around 1.5 million warriors. And Kauravas had more Akshoni Senas, had more warriors, around 2.4 million. But but there is a difference, right? Because when Krishna offered Arjuna the choice of selection, uh, and when Duryodhana came up, Duryodhana and Krishna offered that, in the beginning, that he is not going to take up weapon. Then for Duryodhana, he thinks, Krishna, uh, he is going to give up his Narayani Sena to us, and Krishna is not going to pick up weapon. So what good is Krishna for me? So even if Krishna saw Arjuna for the first time during that situation, and Arjuna was supposed to ask for who he wants, whether he wants Krishna or his Narayana Sena, Duryodhana said, no, no, I came early. And he always has the behavior to really, snatch somebody else's rights. And he said, okay, he knew that Krishna is not going to pick up weapons. So then what good is Krishna? So he asked, okay, I don't need you. I probably need the Narayana Sena. And Arjuna was very happy having Krishna. And you see, he had so many warriors. He had more warriors than the Pandavas. But eventually, because he had the Supreme Personality, he didn't had Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Arjuna had Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had to he had to lose out. So what are we thinking about when we are seeing this kind of behavior? Because at the end of the day, we have to think about the quality in terms of our Krishna consciousness, or whether we are truly making progress in Krishna consciousness by being humble, by showcasing tenets, what we are supposed to be, without really disturbing our family framework as well. Krishna conscious doesn't mean that you disturb your family framework and then you end up doing devotional service all the time. Krishna consciousness is a way of life. It's acharati, because acharya is acharati. So by our behavior, our near and dear is going to become Krishna consciousness, is going to get Krishna consciousness, and become Krishna conscious. So um, and the and also, you, if you see, Duryodhana had already lost from Arjuna before, but still he didn't give up his um, his greed to go for a war and defeat Arjuna. Many times in this material world, there has been numerous ways to never give up, never give up. But this never give up is never touched with the quality of give up. Always people are in a rat race to go to the top, and eventually they just get tired, and then eventually they leave. So the point here is, if you remember when Pandavas were in incognito after the 12 years of exile, and they were hiding in the Matsya kingdom, under the Virat king, the king Virat. And actually, at the time, Duryodhan and Karna, they were getting worried, especially Duryodhan, that once these Pandavas come out of the incognito, they are going to really sort of bother us. So why not we find them before? So they wanted to find Pandavas much before. So 2 weeks before the incognito ended, um, Duryodhan hatched a plan. Duryodhan knew that anywhere there is prosperity, there is order, there is love, there must be Pandavas there. So at that time, this Matsya kingdom was prospering, and he just sort of let one of his general fight and got all the cows from the kingdom. And in return, the son of Virat, Uttara, he had to fight the war. And when he had to fight the war, um, you know, Draupadi Maharani, who was also incognito there as a maid, had to sort of drive the chariot. And he was about to give up because he saw a huge army from Karna, um, Drona, Duryodhan. And when he was about to give up, and and the cows were in trouble. The recovery of the cows were important. Brihannala, who was actually the dance teacher of Uttara, who is Uttar's sister and King Virat's daughter, um, who was actually Arjuna himself. So he started shooting, and in that uh, episode, if you remember, he defeated um, the Kauravas actually, and he had to sort of he had to shoot the arrow, which basically Sammohana uh, arrow, by which he basically made everybody sleep, and then he let Uttar pick up all the shorts of Duryodhan. So he basically got Duryodhan, Karna, and Dronacharya onto the knees. He got all the shirts of those warriors who were asleep. After he could have killed all of them, but when Uttar asked why you didn't kill them, he said, "I don't want this soil to be dirtied by the blood of these people." So he just with valor he basically let Uttar take all the shirt from these warriors who were asleep, because he defeated them and they were all senseless. And they took all the shirt for Uttara, who is Uttar's sister. And eventually, Uttara married Abhimanyu. And from there, Parikshit Maharaj came. And you know that Srimad Bhagavatam emergence from there. So, but the point here is, uh, he had already defeated Duryodhan. So if you strategically think a person has already been defeated with so much, then if you think rationally, Duryodhan should not have even thought about the Mahabharat war, because he was defeated single-handedly when Krishna was not there. And the lack of the understanding that the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is going to be enough for all of them, really got him to a position, and he never listened to rational. And so there was tremendous amount of duality in that episode, as you can see. And anytime you want to do so many activities, like say for example, we are in this time, we are in 2021, and now the kids, they do not know who Dhyan Chand is, because Dhyan Chand, who was probably in the earlier part of the the first half of the century in terms of he was a great hockey player, but none of our kids remember him because time is a thing which actually wipes out everything. So trying to focus on these theories, on this, um, is actually a waste of time. And that is the reason why in our mind we should never think of, I want to really have an impact, I want to do this, I want to have this. But when you very much know that some of the great people in the world, people haven't remembered them for long. But this transcendental knowledge is so precious, it has solved the case of time. So, this duality, right? When we talk about duality, there are many things which can be talked about. But in this age, we are very much having conflicting views in our different things. And that is the reason why we never come to a conclusion of sort of unshackling us from duality and surrendering, because we have a social view, we have a family view, we have a temple view, or so we people have different personalities. So the same person is living, five different lives when they go to office. So because of that, there has been tremendous amount of duality, and that's the reason why some of the basic tenets of humility, good behavior, uh, rationalized thinking, um, giving importance to their nature, which Krishna consciousness uh, proclaims, is often forgotten by us. And that is the reason why there is so much of problems happening. People are leaving villages, they're coming to the town, there's global warming, the entire Vedic way of living our life. That's why Prabhupada, instituted the aspect of simple living, high thinking, and that has never been the case because people leads to duality. And even from the scriptures, when you see how Duryodhana was finally treated, we never realize that, and still we go on into this rat race of being. So in this, so it's a very confusing proposition, but only when you put the torch in our lives through the Bhagavad Gita's rays, then all these impurities will get cleared, and we will be able to see ourselves more clearly, because some of these words uttered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so powerful. And now let's move to the next verse, next concept, which Lord Krishna is explaining. So after all of these, after all this dualism, towards the last fifth verse of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna has convinced Arjuna, um, because Bhagavad Gita is actually a process, a scientific process. You apply it and you see the result. So when in the beginning you heard, Arjuna was confused and he didn't want to fight because he was thinking that his relatives are very dear to him, and and he did not see um, the views of Krishna. And finally, as he discussed the yoga process in 18 chapters, the towards 1873, towards the last part of Bhagavad Gita, actually, the last five verses are uh, dedicated to Sanjay, and the last but one verse, which is this verse. So Arjuna eventually agrees, because you have a scientific process, you apply it, and then you get the result, right? Likewise, um, here Arjuna uh, have understood all the yoga process given to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and eventually he agrees. That means he applies, and then he takes the bow and fights. So here, in the last fifth verse of the entire Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is gone now. Nasta moho spriti labdha." That means all the illusion, this moho illusion, has been gone, nasta, and I have regained my memory by your mercy. Spriti labdha. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Bhagavad Gita changed our concept by removing the rug under the feet. Actually, that's not the translation, but I've just added it as a note saying that it because Arjuna was subjected to the conviction from Lord Krishna, finally he agrees. So you have a problem, there is a solution, you apply the solution on the problem, and you see the result. And what did uh, and Arjuna, who was seeing the world more in a more complicated way than all of us, he had so many views. He was a great archer, you know about them, but still, finally, he accepted the yoga practice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he agrees that, "Oh Krishna, you have helped me. By because of you, my illusion is gone. I have regained my memory." And he says that. And when he says that, then he takes up the Gandiv and fights the war. And so this entire Bhagavad Gita process is actually to get us illusion free, duality free, and we have to um, mold into the thought process what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is speaking about. And then when before the war was there, Sanjay, who is actually sent as a messenger, and Sanjay has many verses in there, and in this aspect, he was sent as a messenger. He was, I mean, Dhritarashtra was so humiliating, and so he sent the messenger. He sent the messenger Sanjay to Arjuna, saying that you do not come to Hastinapur. If you want to beg, beg somewhere else. Probably beg in Dwarka. Don't beg here, because when you uh, when the Pandavas beg, there will be rebellion. And because we really don't want rebellion, he gave so much of intolerable messages to Pandavas, which is unthinkable. So Sanjay, as a messenger before the war broke out, he had gone to Yudhishthira as ambassador of Kauravas to negotiate on behalf of them. And finally, the last verse, after going through the motions of the Bhagavad Gita, he is opinionating. So he is convinced. He is saying, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sri Vijaya Bhutir, Dhruvanitri Mati Mama, Vijaya Bhuti. Wherever Krishna, there is a different name for Krishna as well. Krishna is also known as Vijaya. That means wherever Krishna is, the Vijay is. And tomorrow, on the day of Vijayadasami, because he just can't lose because he is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And finally, after seeing this, even a minister of Dhritarashtra, Sanjay, he is saying, "This is my opinion, that wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opponents, victory, extraordinary power, and morality." That's my opinion. So he is giving the opinion, and Arjuna is accepting the change. So this is realization. Otherwise, it is all information. Unless we utilize this knowledge for our benefit and realize and transform. So the information, realization, transformation highway is there. But see, some of the big knowledgeable people like Arjuna and Sanjay, they have accepted it. They have accepted right before the end of the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is so that's the reason why it can only take the rug out of our legs, because it will open up all the impurities. It will showcase where the problem is. It will showcase where um, our purification process lies. And that's the reason why this entire process of Krishna consciousness is actually a purificatory process when you think about it. And this discussion may look very dry because there has been, uh, not a lot of pastimes. But if you think about it, this cleansing of the impurities from our thought process, from our lives, from our relationship, is going to help if we dig deeper into Bhagavad Gita as it is, as so beautifully crafted by His divine grace. So The problem is there, solution is there, application of solution is there, and what you see is the result. And if this is not science, what it is, then nothing is science. So with that, like to end here, like to open up for some questions and comments as we discuss this very powerful verse, um, where Krishna um, is talking about how to get rid of dualities in our life, how to get rid of delusion in life, and we can only showcase examples where finally, Arjuna, his greatest devotee, is agreeing to engage in devotional service. And if we take up that path, it will do a whole lot of good to us. So with that, I'd like to end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all wish Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, class was very wonderful, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I just have one question. If you read the translation there one more time.
Sure.
So it says the persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, right? And whose sensual activities are completely eradicated and are freed from the duality. So my
Correct.
question here is Lord Krishna saying that for liberation, definitely only one life is not sufficient, or we have to take multiple lives to do the bhakti, and then you get uh, away from this birth and death disease, or what, Prabhuji? That's what I'm trying to understand. What is the
Yeah,
context of previous lives here? Because we
yeah,
don't know what is our previous life, right?
exactly. But Prabhuji, very nice question. So first of all, but our acharyas have said in this life also, in this life also, we can have perfection. So what that means is, see, we do not know because we are not we cannot remember something which is probably 2 years old. But here, uh, Lord Krishna, who has remembered all our past, is saying this in a greater sense. See, what they're saying is some lot of people do not take devotional service seriously, and when you do not take devotional service seriously, which is which is making those impurities or sinful actions not go away. But if we take devotional service in a very pious way, in a very focused way, with Drudha Vrata, with determination, even in this life, we can liberate ourselves. See, the question becomes, when we want to go to Delhi, see, there are many different parts from where we can all come to Delhi. And through the different parts or different paths, we can get various different reactions. We may have got some virus, but eventually there is a way to get to Delhi. So that's why they say if the train is going to Golok Vrindavan, it doesn't matter whether you are in the first compartment or the last compartment. So in this life also, we can truly get liberation. More importantly, more important than liberation, Prabhuji, is we can arouse some love for Krishna, which is more important than bhukti, mukti, sakti, and all that. So whenever we get deep into this love for Krishna consciousness or love for Krishna, we realize that Krishna knows everything about us. So what we are supposed to ask? Then when we see, in Durga Puja, we hear Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Jasam Dehi, uh, and so we really have to seek, because we all Krishna already knows what we need. So then all these aspects of hankering will probably go away, and then we indulge in devotional service. So to answer your question in a very simple way, Prabhuji, it's not at all difficult um, for difficult for us to get liberation in this life. So we can get liberation in this life itself if we take to see some of the uh, earlier devotees of our Krishna conscious movement. If you see, um, like Jayananda Prabhu, who was Mr. Rathyatra, in his life, in the prior life, in the probably 0 to 20, before he joined Krishna conscious, he was probably into non-regulative practices. in terms of uh, eating and things like that. But he has perfected, and when he passed away, before even our divine grace left the planet, Srila Prabhupada had very strong conviction that Jayananda Prabhu, who was a mechanical engineer, but he was driving taxi to give money to Srila Prabhupada so that he can do Rath Yatras all around the world. And he might have done tremendous amount of sinful activities in his past life and in the same life. But the way he led his life, he might have gone back to Godhead, definitely. So, how you conduct yourself, how you take up Krishna consciousness in a serious way, that will drive your future, Prabhu. So that's the reason why Krishna is saying not many people take seriously. What that means is they have to take it seriously so that you really do not incur the same activities. But if you have come this far, why not use it with the knowledge you have gained from? So, and that's where Bhagavad Gita is like a torch which will open up everything. Did that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. I have one related question again. In the
Please.
same translation, it is mentioned that the service, right? Uh, who are doing the service, they have themselves in my service with determination, right?
Right, right.
Now, after Prabhupada coming, Srila Prabhupada, he giving us all this list of things which we have to do. Means Bhagavad Gita as it is has come, and then 16 rounds of chanting we have to do. I'm trying to understand this list. What is this service accompanies to? Means what comprises of the service? I'm just trying to understand this word service here.
Yes. So this service, Prabhuji, a very nice question. This service means devotional service. So devotional service means anything we do with love for the Supreme Lord. So what this can entail is even reading Bhagavad Gita is actually a devotional service. And even doing some activity in the temple or propagating. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned by Krishna, the people who disseminate my glories are very dear to me. There's a verse for that. I can get that. But people who disseminate my glories and are very dear to him. So whenever we are favorably disposing ourselves to broaden or rather propagate Krishna consciousness, or even transforming ourselves within the family life or the family restriction. You're right. Before Srila Prabhupada came, there people did not really go deep into this aspect of bhakti so closely, and nobody really translated the books in so finer detail. Like, see, whenever before Srila Prabhupada gave these books, a lot of people were saying bhajanti uh, is has a different meaning. But when the concept of, if you want to love someone, you have to express it, right? Just by keeping love to yourself doesn't mean that your love is actually is in details. Likewise, our love for Krishna should be in the form of our expression. And what is that expression? Whether you want to cook for Krishna, whether you want to talk about Krishna, anybody you love in your life, you would basically boast about him. Not in a negative sense, but you have the general tendency to talk about him. So, like the Brajavasis, like the in Varsana, whenever these devotees they talk about Krishna, they get tears from their eyes. Why do they do that? Because it is very much internalized in their process, and they're not really making money by saying all these things. So it's an expression, and love is in all expression. So in this process, if you want to do something, so what Srila Prabhupada is saying is not just something which is out of the ordinary. If you love someone, you would like to do something, and what that doing something is nothing but devotional service. So Krishna can take anything, like Purushottamara says, it's not what you give to Krishna which is important, it's how you give is important, because you put that extra element of love, and that is the thing. So it was all there, but that was not put in black and white, like how Srila Prabhupada took that devotional service and took it to a higher level. And that is where he made the statement about chewing the chewed. Whenever we chew the chewing gum for longer, it doesn't taste good. So that this life is exactly like that. some of the material liking or pleasures we seek are very, very temporary, whether it is cricket or this or that. Is very so he kind of put it right on our face in a very blunt and very nice way. That's the reason why this darkness we have an opportunity to get rid of in our lives. And he just taking Krishna's message to a very higher level. So that's why this is the right thing, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, प्रभु जी, how you give is nothing but हिंदी अपन बोलते हैं ना, भाव से, किस भाव से आप भक्ति कर रहे हैं, डिवोशनल
Exactly.
सर्विस कर रहे हैं, राइट?
Exactly.
हरि बोल.
So yeah, bhav is very important, as you rightly said. You might have heard about Lord Krishna. Bidurain had come and no, Krishna had come to Bidurain's place. Bidurji was outside, and when he sees Krishna, Bidurain is the wife of Bidurji. He's basically opening the banana and taking the pulp, putting the pulp on the trash and giving the peel to Krishna, and Krishna is eating. And this is going on for quite some time. So when Vidurji came, he saw Bidurain, wife of Vidurji, doing all this, and Krishna is sweetly taking. So beautiful. Bhav jo aap bol rahe hain, it's exactly like that, with love. And Lord Jagannath, he loves karma by khichdi, which is made with a devotee, the lady devotee, who makes khichdi with his wooden toothbrush. And some people may think it is yucky, but Lord Jagannath loves it. So there are many such things, Prabhu. And as you rightly said, bhav is more important. It's how you give. And if you have the mood, even if you cannot do, but if there is Janmashtami, you get something with love for Shyam Sundar. If there is Rath Yatra, get six bananas. It's enough. But your mood is more important than what you give, because he's Lakshmi is serving him. He doesn't need anything, but your extent of love is very important. Any is anything else, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari bol. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Haripam.
Yeah, thank you, dear devotees. Thank you, Hemajaganath Puji, for a wonderful class, especially on this very auspicious day of Mahanavami. This is the day, and this is the form which Durga Devi has, the topmost form. And this is the day Durga, Mother Durga, took that ferocious form and killed Mahishasura. Mahishasura was a asura, and by the boons from the Brahma, he became so powerful and got a boon that no man could kill Mahisha the demon. So then Brahma gave this boon also, but only one person can. Only the woman can. No man can kill Mahishasura. They all approached Mahavishnu, and then Mahavishnu's potency, that's called Vishnu Maya, that's a Durga, manifested to kill Mahishasura. That's the day. So tomorrow is the victorious day. That's Vijayadashami. Not only victory over these evils, and also tomorrow is the day Lord Ramachandra Bhagavan became victorious on killing the Ravana. And that's called the Ramachandra Vijayolsava. So in many, it's a very auspicious day in terms of that evil, and everybody can take that vow that we all have these enemies as demons in our heart. So we all can take on these days that we can all kill these enemies on this day. So that signifies also. So it's so that we can purify ourselves. So these all pastimes of the Lord is to remind us that these are all within us as well. All these demons. I'm so powerful and I can do anything I want. I don't have anything to concern. Don't have anything to check. I am so great. I'm that. I'm this. I'm a king. I'm a powerful man. I have this position, so I can act, behave accordingly. But this reminds us, nothing. We are all Even if little bit, if you're proud of it, then we are come to that category of demoniac nature. So, so thank you so much. And tomorrow we'll be having a class in the evening. Tomorrow is Vijayadashami, and Sunday we are celebrating the Vijayadashami at the temple. Please join on Sunday. Also, there will be some few programs, Agnesh Kirtan and Katha, everything will be there. So please join on Sunday. 20th is the day Kartik starts, and this is the day, this is the month, Damodar month. This is the fourth month of Chaturmasa begins, and this Chaturmasa, many devotees were taking the fasting, and likes that from the beginning itself. No leafy vegetables, no milk, no yogurt, and the last is actually no urdu dal. No dal, no urdu dal, basically dal, but no urdu dal. And on this month, many devotees will take extra efforts to have more conscious of Krishna, that they will take fasting. They will not engage in any other things other than Krishna consciousness. They completely fast on this month until 18th. And so many wonderful days comes. Diwali comes, Govardhan Puja comes, Radha Kunda appearance day comes, Behula Ashtami comes. There is the Tulasi Shalagram Vivah comes, and the Sharad Purnima comes. So many wonderful days each and every day. Bhai Duj comes in between. So many wonderful days are on this next month, Kartik month. So devotees take fast, and they do the offering, the ghee lamp to the Lord Damodara. It is mentioned that, and there are so many mahimas, mahatmyas. One who even part of that ghee lamp, there was a rat in the Mahatmya. It is mentioned that there was a rat was living in a temple, and then just chewed that ghee lamp which is offered and remains there. That rat got a next lifetime, got a human, very good life in his next lifetime. It was mentioned in the Mahatmya of it. So, dear devotees, these are the science. This is not just a story, but this has such a potency and a power in all respects, especially the month, at the time. Tithi all has different potencies. That's why it's recommended that we should observe these certain days and certain month. And Krishna also revealing that out of all this month, I am this month of Kartik. So it's very powerful. It's a month of Damodara. And also we know that the month of Adhika Mas. Adhika Mas is the month of the Supreme Lord, and the Vishnu. And the Damodar month is month of Damodar. So it's very powerful and potent. So take an opportunity and consider this as an opportunity to put yourself and everybody together. When there is that everybody together does this, everybody can purify. So we'll have program in the evening, and the morning we'll have Damodar Ashtakam. And also devotees home. Last year I'm told we were going to be visiting many devotees house. They organized this Kartik program, and then there is Kartik Damodar Puja and Damodar Ashtakam. It's so beautiful. Everybody together offer the ghee lamp to the Supreme Lord, and it's amazing. And that itself is purifying. And dear devotees, yes, Prabhuji asked this question: can we have the liberation? Yes, we can. So when we completely surrender, when we offer ourselves to Krishna in such a way, apart from all this, so sometimes we give 5% and 90% for ourselves. Sometimes we give 95% for Krishna and 5% for ourselves. So we have to gradually come to that level, that percentage. We have to be surrendered. We have to at least 90% for Krishna, and there is no doubt. So this is our opportunities. Please join. And so they will have a program at the temple on next Wednesday evening. So we'll not have a Bhagavad Gita class. So request also everybody join on Kartik, beginning of Kartik. So thank you so much. Anything else? Anybody else want to add?
So Prabhuji, this Saturday is Ekadashi, right?
Saturday is Ekadashi, of course, yes. Saturday is Ekadashi, and fasting from grains and beans, and wonderful. There'll be also Kirtan, right? Right, Prabhuji, Jayaprakash Prabhuji, the temple?
Yeah, there will be Kirtan in the morning from 10 to 12 noon.
10 to 12. Okay, wonderful. Yes, Mataji, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, Prabhuji, just wanted to ask for tomorrow's Bhakti Riksha. Is it at 7 or 7:30 or 8? I'm
Bhakti
not
Riksha
sure.
tomorrow, Jayadeva, His Holiness Jayadeva Swami Maharaj. I was under the impression Maharaj may begin early. So
Okay.
I would suggest, let's be prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, be there, everybody, by 7.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay. So, okay, then let's conclude today's session. Let's pay our obeisance to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Let's pay our obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhashya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. Bol. Thank you, Hemajaganath.